Hey guys, LE here. Today, I wanted to show you guys something pretty interesting. Now, I think y'all are gonna laugh at me whenever I tell you what the theme of today's video is, but please just hear me out, okay? The theme of today's video is gonna be planting trees. I know that sounds so stupid, but please bear with me. So what's pretty interesting though that I wanted to show you guys is that every single tree that you see around here that's planted, my dad planted every single one of these trees. They started out as tiny little plants, like not much bigger than this right here, and some of them have been around so long they've eventually grown into that, they've grown into this, so on and so forth. So it's been many years that my dad's been doing this. The really cool part of all of this though is that before my dad planted all of these trees, our property looks no different than, say, this open field right here. This is literally what our house and everything around it looked like. Literally just like this. This row of trees right here is really cool because it gave us a sideline for our football field whenever I was little. It gives us really good shade, as you can see, so we could play in the heat of the day without getting like a heat stroke or getting overheated. It was really funny. I remember whenever I was like 7 or 8 years old, these trees were probably about this high right here. So I was juking them and hurdling them like Lamar Jackson whenever I was a little kid. That was always fun. These trees over here would give the house shade. You can see how good a shade these trees provide right here. It's blazing hot outside and I feel pretty comfy. Yeah, long story short, I'm kind of rambling here, but my dad has always loved planting trees. And no surprise that he came home today and guess what he had in the back of his truck? More plants. So this time I'm gonna help him plant the trees, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how that process works. So without further ado, hope you guys enjoy. All right, here we go. I can see that Rosie and Pebble's having a good old time. All right, Dad, you ready?
Yeah. So my boss just bought a new home. And the trees that were planted in her front yard, her husband was really against because they're these live oaks. And if you don't know about live oak trees, they stay green year round, which is really neat. But the leaves do die and new leaves replace them quite often, especially around your fall and winter months. Mm-hmm. And her husband was just not going to spend his entire weekends raking leaves. So he wanted those trees gone. So what she did was bought some magnolia trees, which have big, beautiful evergreen leaves, but they don't lose their leaves as often. And she wanted to get rid of the live oaks. They're right here inside my trailer. So what I did was I volunteered my time, and we went, and Jamie and I went, and we dug up the trees out of her yard, her new yard, and we replaced them with those magnolia trees that she bought. But we don't want these trees here to go to waste. So what I'm going to do is, if you walk over here with me, you can see the front of the barn has no trees whatsoever. And I'm one who likes to have really pretty shady trees. So kind of spin around and look. What I think I'm going to do is plant one of those live oaks right over here in this part of the barn, right about here. It'll get nice and tall, and those limbs will spread out nice and wide. And so it'll provide a really pretty front, a facade to our barn, and provide some good shade around the front here. And that shade will lean over into the littles pasture. It'll shade the barn and be nice shade here for the front. These trees, these live oaks, get really tall, but most they bush out really wide, and they grow fast. So that's my plan for today, is plant a couple of live oaks here in front of the barn.
How fast do they grow exactly?
That's a good question. I'm going to say that they grow really fast, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to ask you to take a little four-wheeler ride up to Gigi and Pawpaw's. And I'm embarrassed to admit this, but my Pawpaw's barn is a little tool room. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That used to be my house.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
So whenever I first got out of college and I had no money, I lived in my dad's tool room. I converted it. Guys, I'm good at converting things into livable spaces, okay?
Yeah, if you haven't been able to tell already from... Yeah.
So I converted my dad's tool room into my little house. I wasn't married then, but I did plant some little live oaks. And Ellie, if you'll go over there and look at those live oaks, that has been, let's see, if you're 20, that would be probably about 25 years ago.
Gosh.
So I'm going to show you what a 25-year-old live oak tree looks like. So you go show your friends that first, and then when you come back, we'll get these trees in the ground.
Okay. Well, guys, this is it right here. This is... Hey, Brindley, what's up? Anyways, these right here are the live oak trees that my dad was referring to. And like he said, it was around 25 years ago. He planted these trees the first year he started teaching, because his first year of teaching is also the first year that he moved into that tool room, aka his first house. So this is insane that it only took him 25 years to grow to the sky like that. I'm not a super great judge of height, but what's that, like 100 feet, 60 feet? I don't know, but in any case, that's insanely high for 25 years. Just picture whenever I'm 45 years old or so, just picture when I'm about 45 years old and I have kids that are close to my age, they'll literally be seeing this way over there. So that right there is something to marvel at for sure. As you can see, the base of the tree is really, really fat, and it provides really, really, really good shade that spans very wide. I got my grandpa sitting over there. Hey, Pawpaw.
Hey, bud.
These trees provide really good shade, huh?
These great trees, great shade.
Yeah.
Always cool under here.
Yeah, it's always cool. You can see how far it spans. The shade spans really, really far with these trees.
Yeah.
And this right here is the tool room that used to be my dad's house. My dad, like he said, has always been good at converting stuff, so don't laugh at him. This was his first home right here. It's time for me to go back and start helping him plant, though. I swear this swing right here is haunted. Like, I'm serious. You can just feel the supernatural vibe when you stand next to this swing right here. No one swung on this thing in probably weeks or so, but I swear to you, it never stops swinging. I'll come back a different day and I'll show you that it's literally swinging like this 24/7. And only this one swing too. This one right here just sits completely still. This is like something from The Conjuring. This is terrifying. I can just feel the paranormal vibes when I'm standing next to this spot. Yet Brindley doesn't care. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I'm going to take over the video and while Ellie does a little work here. The best way to learn something, folks, is by doing it. I'm a big believer in that. Okay, so Ellie, these trees are being transplanted. They're not brand new trees that we just bought from Garden Ridge or Houston Gardens. And these are actually trees that had been in the ground for a year. I had to dig them up, and I was real careful to preserve all the roots that I could. So it's going to be hard for these trees to make a transition. So in saying so, they're going to have a transition from climate change, from a difference in soil. And so we're going to do all that we can to give them their best chance to survive. In saying so, we had to buy a really good potting soil that is rich in nutrients. We're going to put about an inch of that potting soil on the bottom of the hole here. If you want to go ahead and cut it open and give me about an inch on the bottom. And that way, these roots here will set directly on top of the potting soil, which will provide them what they need, instead of in this really sandy soil, which is going to be lacking in nutrients. So pour me about an inch and spread it out there, Ellie.
Okay.
Not too much, but about an inch thick.
Tell me when.
Now, okay, keep going. As you can see, folks, all those little white flakes and stuff are different types of fertilizers. Okay, that's pretty good. Set it back down there. Don't forget that you have a little helper behind you if you need. Okay, so now take your hand and kind of spread that in evenly for the most part.
I shouldn't have worn white shorts for this.
You always seem to wear the wrong outfit, Ellie. So that's good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is stand that tree up, and I'll hold it steady for you while you take the potting soil and go around the edge of the tree.
Okay.
Okay? Now, what we don't want to do, folks, is go directly from a brand new tree to this soil, which is sand. And so sand is obviously very low in nutrients. We're going to give the tree a chance to be surrounded by a really good potting soil that will provide it what it needs until it can slowly make its roots work their way through that potting soil into our soil. So I'll show you more about that. So go ahead and stand it up. If you can have these guys move out of your way.
Tabs, watch out.
Watch out, Lenny. And you want to put it right inside that hole, right in the very center if you can, so we can get potting soil on all sides of it. Perfect. Now, if you notice, Ellie, I dug the hole to be exactly flush with the ground, and that's fine. You don't want to be lower than that because it will fill it with water and hold water.
Yeah.
So flush with the ground, and now take that and spread it all around the edges. You can pour it to be easier. Try not to use the entire bag yet.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's good enough. Stop there. And now, before we pack it in, go ahead and take your foot and push some of that sand into that hole as well. So what's going to happen over here is it's going to be a little bit of a blend. And not too much sand, just a little bit, so that will kind of help the roots slowly adjust to its new environment. Now take your hand and stick it in in all the cracks, so go all the way around it and kind of what they call tickle the feathers. You know what that means?
Yeah.
All right, so like you're gonna put your hand inside there and kind of like tickle. It sounds dumb. Go all the way around it and tickle the. Did I say feathers?
Yeah.
Tickle the roots.
Tickle the
Why did I say feathers? I don't know what I was thinking about. That chicken in the background making that weird noise. So go around and kind of tickle the roots. That way the roots will. You make sure you feel the roots, and they'll be. That means they're not packed in so tight that they. No, you got to go into it. You got to dig into it, and just go around the entire tree. I'm holding the tree up and down straight.
Gucci, Gucci, Gucci.
Yeah, Gucci, Gucci, Gucci.
Oh, wait, that reminds me of that joke. Okay, the joke goes like, what's the best way to tickle a rich baby?
No, not a rich baby.
A rich girl.
What is the best way to tickle a rich girl?
Gucci, Gucci, Gucci.
Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. Ellie, come on. What I'm doing, folks, we want to make sure that this potting soil gets all around the roots of this tree. So Ellie's not really going quite deep enough. If it were me, I would go as deep as I could in there. That's why we didn't pack it tight. And he's just touching all of the roots to make sure that they're alive. They're ready to go. Okay, good.
I went really deep on that.
Okay, now at this point, take the rest of that potting soil and fill in around the edges of it. So by Ellie putting his fingers in there and kind of tickling those roots, what he's done is also mix a little bit of sand with it. And so this here is going to be another layer of potting soil. Okay, now spread it evenly on top. Use your hand if you need to. Okay, now as of right now, folks, everyone knows that this tree is top heavy, and we have to make sure that we put it into the ground where it's not going to blow around a whole lot. So if you'll hold the tree right there where it's at now, I'm going to show you a trick that I use. So I just want to back up for a minute and show you guys the size of this tree. And because we're not going to pack it, a lot of folks want to plant a tree and pack it in there nice and tight so it can't blow around. But that would be the worst thing to do for the roots to help them get started. You need to have a little bit of, growing space. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of T-posts and I'm going to drive them in the ground on each side and tie the tree off. What I'm going to do, folks, is take this T-post and I'm going to drive it in the ground. I'm not going to drive it where the roots are at right now. I don't want to interfere or mess with those roots. So then I'm going to drive it down, and it doesn't have to be way down. I'm only going to drive it about so far. Then I'll do a second T-post on the other side of that, equal distance apart, which is right about there, I believe.
Should we measure it or does it matter?
I'm not going to, it's not that big of a deal, because these will come out of the ground eventually. But okay, so what I'm going to do now, Ellie,
It's pretty precise.
is take a piece of string. I'm going to take a string, a nylon string that will not break, that will not rot. I'm going to tie it to these posts and tie it to this tree. Make it tight enough to where the tree doesn't blow in the wind.
Yeah.
It stays nice and solid. And I will leave that string on there for 1 year. Now, in a year, I'm going to come out and cut that string and remove these posts. If I don't, the roots in a year's time are going to grow this way. They're going to grow into my post, and I'll never get them back out. They'll be there forever, unless you own a cutting torch that can cut them off. We don't have one of those here, and we don't want one. And so we have a pretty strong southern breeze blowing right now, of wind out of the south. And as you can see, this one here is going to keep it from blowing too far that way. And when that wind shifts in the wintertime and it's blowing out of the north, that one there will keep it anchored that way. So what we have over here is a tree that it can give a little bit, but it cannot give so much down here where our roots are going to be constantly pulled around. We want to give them a chance to adapt to their new environment, and that's the best way to do it, to keep them solid. And so now the last thing at this point was to put some water to it, and this tree here is set. What do you think?
I think it's good. I can't believe that in 25 years it'll be like that over there.
Yeah, so 25 years, this thing will be huge. But hold on, but you don't gotta wait 25 years. I would say probably in 5 years, it'll start providing shade for this area. Ellie, you've done it, son. So what's going to be kind of neat is I will most likely be dead and gone, and you'll walk out here to this barn, and you'll still be loving on Ringo because he'll still be around forever. Only the good die young, Ellie. You know that song, right?
No.
That means Ringo will live forever. He and Cornholio both will still be around 25 years from now. Whenever I'm dead and gone, there'll still be Ringo and Cornholio. And you'll be standing under this tree, Ellie, and you'll be telling your own kids, you planted this thing. You and your dad planted this.
Except it'll look more like that tree over there.
Except it'll look a whole lot different, folks. It's gonna look like those way over there, which is gonna be awesome. All right, good job, son.
Thank you.
I think Ringo gives his nod of approval as well.